Okay, welcome back to Western Mike. Welcome to YouTube tonight. Have two topics for today. Topic number one, alcohol. You have to want less jitters. To cut back, you need to have less jitters. And then the second one was narcissism. Say it, narcs. Say it like you mean it. Don't just go around and act like you're expecting all this stuff from others. Either communicate and do so in a respectful manner, or you can be over there. So let's, the news. Let's get into some news headlines. The House and Senate passed a bill to fund the government ending the longest shutdown in U.S. history. I think 40-day federal government partial shutdown, albeit still a shutdown. The shutdown is now finally over. The government can get back to full operations. Other news, not really much other news. Local news is crazy. One of the catamaranes needs something like an engine repair or something like that. That will take at least a week. So, Golden Gate is kind of difficult to navigate. If you're in San Francisco, you are going to take a ferry. You may have to take a bus instead. Ferries are having some issues. You may at least one of the ferries is having technical difficulties, so you may be relegated to the bus as opposed to the ferry. So yeah, and then on top of that, there have continued to be other repairs that have to happen. One dock at the ferry building needs repairs. There has been a ton of construction in Larkspur, California. Every construction besides maybe besides the favorite local dive bar. Not sure what's going on with that situation. It is unclear. It is unclear what's going on with one of the last dive bars in Marin County. Uh, Certainly in the industry worldwide. This is a big week for everyone. Having to deal with uh, business bar closures, having to deal with getting stranded during their commute. This takes a lot of patience and hopefully not, too much acceptance, but this will take some patience. Wait, hold on here. Let's get into the first topic. Alcohol, you have to want less jitters. Why would you want more jitters? That'd be dumb. Just alcohol and coffee kind of act like the same. One day had 4 coffees, and we didn't get an effect on that one. But one day had 4 coffees, and the effects lasted for so long. Just did not want to do that ever again. Made a pact with myself about that. Don't ever have 4 coffees ever again. Yeah, because it took a while to do that. It's not like I gulped those drinks, but it still had just a warping effect on me, and think that even lasted for days. Also, that lasted for days. That wasn't even alcohol. That was caffeine, and that caffeine overload from the 4 coffees lasted for a while. Yeah, I can have 3.5 maybe, but 4, not too sure on that. Not too sure on that. Maybe even 3.5 is too much. Had 3 alcoholic beverages last night. In total, specifically had 3.5. Wait, hold on here. Okay, turning down the heat. Turned off the heat. Had 3.5 alcoholic beverages. It was nice. It was nice, but just was doing everything possible to avoid 4. Because in my head is always all 4. 4 alcoholic beverages are much like 4 coffees. So, if you think about it like coffee, you can just think about it this way. If you can't stand 4 coffee, then 4 alcohol, that will be similar to the jitters from 4 coffee. Crazy anxiety. Many times now have plenty of data to suggest and to perhaps even finalize that even 4 drinks is too much for one person, even during an occasion. So even if it's an occasion, I'm not going to have 4 drinks. It's too much. It ruins it. It takes it from tipsy to drunk. Please stop getting drunk at 12 o'clock, even if it's Friday, like some others have said. I'm so sick and tired of this. It could be the neighborhood, but yesterday was a special day for me, and forgot to celebrate it in certain ways, but was still celebrating it. And once again, dealing with just stupid drunks, just laughing at me and yelling at me. I have had enough. I've had enough of drunks. Dealt with drunks like 5 times yesterday, and dealt with them kind of like 5 times the day before that. I'm at my wit's end, and most people don't go out to get drunk at 12 p.m. and be annoying to others around them. Most people, not even in the city, most people are pretty tolerant of letting things be of norm. If you think you're being cool, but you're not. To hell with your, I'm being cool by doing this. You're giving yourself alcohol jitters, and you're going around being an ass, and you're making an ass of other people. You drunks have made an ass of me something like 10 times in the last 2 days. You were doing a lot, and that could be part of the next segment. But I want you drunks to see the way that you were behaving. You should see the way you were being toward me and toward others as well last few days. And I'm just not going to deal with it. It doesn't make sense to me how somebody could want, all the jitters, how they could say that they're willing to deal with all the jitters or the anxiety after. To me, I'm not willing. Yeah, it's good to have fun, but not to the point where it's self-destructive. What even say that achieving jitters or anxiety is a self-destructive thing to do? That also means you're getting nightmares, and that your body is just not responding well to what you're doing to your body. If you keep asking yourself, gee, never mind my wallet for a second. Why do I always feel this way? Isn't there a way to feel it? Yeah, well, you can enjoy things without overdoing it. Overdoing things is not cool. Overdoing things is not cool. We've read about this how many times now? People have told you so many times now that overdoing things is not cool. That being intoxicated is not cool. Being drunk in public, read that one. Read about that. Being drunk in public, not cool. Drinking more than necessary, not cool. It's just, these are things to keep in mind. When I would be a little too drunk, even around family, they would notice, and they would be all, you were kind of being a little, you were kind of intoxicated. Yeah, that's kind of like, you were kind of annoying us a little bit. So I was annoying myself. I was overconsumption. I was taking it to an extreme. I used to sometimes have something like 10 drinks or less, maybe less, but around 10 drinks. I would go towards that, and I would certainly feel it. That's not something you want to do with your time. That's not how you want your weekend to be. You want your weekend to be solid. I got home last night, and I was able to do at least some things before I go to bed. So I think that's really the nice way to the nice way to go, the way to be nice. And to me, if you want to be cool, you want to be nice. You don't want to be a dick. Getting drunk at 12 o'clock, you're a dick. You're not following this. You're doing the norms of your group of people, but you're not following the norms of the people of everywhere else. And this thing is gonna freaking kill you if you're, yeah. So you disrespect me, you disrespect everyone every time I'm around you, every time we're around you. But then here's what you don't know is that heavy drinking will kill you in a number of years. You got to stop heavy drinking. You got to stop getting drunk at 12 o'clock. Maybe sometimes, if you have a day off, or if it's a holiday, and if it's been a while. It scares me if I'm, heavy drinking, especially multiple times a week. That's scary. You're constantly juggling with, like, suicide. That you just took something that used to be exciting and now it's become a masochistic ritual. Why would you turn something that should be exciting, that should be fun, where everybody can get together, and turn it into a no, I went to a wine bar last night and I only had 3 drinks because everyone was super freaking cool. Had I been around all the, I like dive bars. If if a dive bar wants to see me, they can. Might be a little bit supervisorial about it, but if they want to see me, they can. But um, it's the crowd in any public place that is a good thing to pay attention to. I'll hang out with all kinds of people, just not the ones who are acting all cray cray. The extremists. I don't want to be part of the extremists. If I be part of the extremists, I'm gonna have damn anxiety. That's what's gonna happen to my AS. If I hang out with extremists, I am going to ruin my wanting to keep it tipsy, and then I'm making mistakes and having to correct my mistakes over the course of the rest of the week. No, yeah, I was having to fix mistakes because on the holiday I kind of overdid it a little bit, and then there you go. Even if it's a holiday, don't overdo it because you're gonna have to peel your way back. So uh, I think that I think that a little bit more might mean like maybe one more drink than the daily, which is 2 to 3 tops, and that's also what they say for coffee, the amount of coffee that you can have. So maybe like 4 tops, that's it. But even four for me is too much. So no, yeah, at most we'll sometimes maybe do 4, maybe 3.8, but that 4 number kind of scares me. So I think we'll probably keep it at 3.8 and not even go to 4, not even on you know. So most of the time we'll then do just 3.5. It's not that I don't need the last one. It's just that I'm trying to keep it cool. So might do 1/2 pint, but then the rest of the time, like a bartender said, I'm just going to stick to full glasses. It's cleaner because that also helps me keep track of my consumption. Whereas if I'm doing all these minis and trying to see, oh, isn't this only point 0.8? Can't you do like 3.8s of this? That fucks me up. And then next thing I know, I kind of either went toward 4.8, if not significantly beyond that point. So, yeah, you have to sacrifice a lot, or you just have to be super precise. I'd rather not be super precise. I'd rather just make a few sacrifices and be all good, on that one. And I think that the crazy crowd that will try to rear its head into pretty much any bar, no matter how fun that bar is. I think that avoiding that crazy crowd is probably one of those sacrifices that I'm willing to make. That's something that I'm willing to concede. So that can turn alcohol back into more kind of like a weed kind of marijuana thing. No, yeah, drunk people are crazy. Dealt with way too many drunk people yesterday, day before, and it's getting beyond irritating, especially for anyone who is attempting to cut back and to kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit, dealing with the people who are trying to undermine that. That's incredibly frustrating. Some of it is not too frustrating. It's Some of that is cowardly. But intoxicated people are the worst. The worst. The worst. You want to be intoxicated? You want to be around, someone who has scared half their neighbors away from them and is, and is dealing with constant neighbor disputes. You sure you want to be drunk? You sure you want to be around drunks? You want to deal with neighbor disputes. You want to deal with maybe even potentially restraining orders and things like that. I don't want to deal with all that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm good. But I know if I end up getting those alcohol jitters, it might not just be about me. It might not just be about me. You have to not want the jitters to come back so that you seem just more like other people. My reason for doing this is I want to be like most people. To cut back, you have to want not to have any jitters. And how do you avoid jitters? Don't get drunk. And how do you not get drunk? Just don't have 5 drinks. But also, if you can help it, even for men, even on an occasion, because it hurts, don't even have 4 drinks. Don't even have 4 drinks. My personal limit, guys, isn't even 4 drinks. I know this. I've seen this so many times. Getting up after 4 drinks is a nightmare. Even 3 drinks, and you're kind of bumping into stuff a little bit. I'm not hungover this morning. I have maybe a little bit of a blood alcohol concentration rush, but I'm not very hungover. I just had a few drinks last night. I'm not that hungover, but I'm still kind of bumping into stuff, kind of bumping into the wall a little bit when I wake up. You know this, right? You know this. There you go. So yeah, how many times have we woken up and even if we didn't have that many drinks, we're still kind of bumping into stuff, and so you're gonna feel it, even moderately. You're gonna feel it. So you might as well just enjoy the effects in a small way, than in a detrimental way, where you have anxiety, and you're worried that you did something to offend someone. Yeah, that's what bothers me. Um, Worrying about offending. But then what else do I see happening around me besides that? Besides offense, either taking offense or giving offense. What else do I see? Heavy drinking is offensive. Heavy drinking is offensive. It's offensive to me. It's offensive to my friends. Um, it's probably offensive to employers. Heavy drinking is. I declare a formal war on heavy drinking. That's the antithesis of a good time. Heavy drinking is not a good time. No, even subconsciously, at least. When you're heavy drinking, you go past 4, and then because of that, you then start bar hopping, and then next thing you know, what could have been 4 becomes 6, if not more. And that will lead to your demise in a number of hours, in an amount of hours. So, this is all a personal choice, yes, but you probably already avoid other, masochistic or kind of impulsive gestures. You're probably not jumping off the bridge. You're probably not. You're probably not doing something I did, shutting a door on yourself just to see how it affected your hand or something like that. I did that when I was young, though. I did that when I was young just to see what that would be like. And then I was like, ouch, my mommy. I miss my mom. Yeah. Why isn't she here? That's messed up. Anyone who lost a parent when younger, you can let me know in the comments. Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. It's just too much anxiety is so unfun. so unfun. It's horrible for you. Anxiety is horrible. What is it like? It's kind of like alcohol jitters. It's kind of like alcoholic jitters. So if you hate you probably do. Uh, you hate the alcoholic jitters, then you hate jitters from coffee. You're gonna hate anxiety. So if you like alcohol, but you hate anxiety, then just don't have five. Maybe even men, even occasion, not even four drinks, three. Have had people tell me, mine three. Even started to think that maybe my 3.5 last night was a little bit over over there because was a little bit over it because I'm not terribly hungover like I was after four drinks every time. I've had not only five but four, but I was still bumping into shit. So I wasn't hungover, but I was bumping into shit. So and that's about finding your limit so that once you find your limit, that should always be your limit. And that's because that's about your work performance. That's about your work performance. You're not performing under the spell of heavy drinking. I think it's over. I think that part of my life may finally be over. The heavy drinking. I think we all have to go through this at some point as a rite of passage. What is it like to be on five, which is basically 10 drinks? It is kind of like death. It is kind of like death. It's like too much hot sauce. At one point, it's like too much coffee. Heavy drinking is like coffee overload. Heavy drinking is like hot sauce overload. It's like having too much soda. Um, Anytime you do that, did you keep on enjoying it after, or did you start to not enjoy it as much? And also, did you exactly not even want to do it the next day after that? You probably wanted to do that the next day after that, but then after all those effects, your motivation to do it again kind of yeah, because you kind of ruined one experience. It's not your fault, but you kind of ruined one experience. You kind of ruined two experiences. You ruined one, and then now the other is kind of up in the air. It's kind of in limbo. So don't get drunk. Don't drink too much coffee. We got to stop with this getting drunk, drinking too much coffee. Because yeah, it's I understand from a certain degree, but from the overall standpoint, it makes for a narrative that is flat on its face, and just I'm not convinced that whole overconsumption culture works. It doesn't work for me. Whoever it works for, what's your secret? But the culture of heavy overconsumption, it doesn't work for this guy. I need to be able to enjoy this stuff without it, uh, you know, causing me problems. And to me, will agree with others. Four drinks is where it goes from working to now it's become a problem. So I'm in line with most health experts on this. I'm in line with most men on this. 3.5, maybe even just fucking three drinks. That's it. That it. Daddy. That's it. And think that's. I'm not Nevadaing you, by the way. Uh, but no, yeah, that's for me. I can't even do four drinks. Because those are the damn jitters. And do I want the fourth drink? Do I want the jitters? Do I want the fourth drink, or do I want to not have the jitters? And that I think is the way to go. So we're gonna go ahead and get into intermission here. Anybody has kind of a dead show today, but that's all right. Could be the holiday or something like that. Oh yeah, dealing with a lot of holiday holes We're going to get into that. Was hoping for another positive rant, a rave again, but it's you're in for something else. Okay, be right back. Cool. All right. So, say it like you mean it. Narcs, say it like you mean it. Not all of you may be narcs, not all of you may be drunks. Some of the people who was dealing with yesterday may not have even been drunk, but here's the thing, you were kind of acting like a drunk. You may not have been a drunk, but you were kind of, maybe from secondhand exposure a little bit, that wasn't even going on. It was um, fine, we'll say it, because, even management is aware of these issues and they are proactively handling them over there. So good for them. That makes it one of the nicer places you can go to. But went to Super Duper Burger yesterday, and this was a little bit of a rough one, guys. There were still some respectful people there. Appreciate that. But was simply waiting at a communal table, and she may have been doing this, and that. But it seems like a lady who may have been kind of a little bit intoxicated. Yesterday at lunch, she was kind of looking at me a little too much. And I don't know why you're doing that. I'm at the communal table. I have no issue with people using the communal table, but it's communal. Um, you still mind your own business. Just because it's communal doesn't mean it's communal. And having seen kind of some stuff like that, people being a little bit sloppy, being all, you're gonna expect me, and there's some anxiety. Um, Sorry, was hitting the loo just now. But going to the bathroom was no problem. This lady, not sure why she was staring at me crazy, but I just got up and I think she like then approached me after, but I made it pretty clear I'm just trying to get my lunch. I'm still technically in the middle of my work day. I don't have time for this. This is a quick in and out. I'm not here to socialize. Um, Heard somebody in San Francisco say to somebody, "I'm gonna annoy you." It seems like you're kind of actually doing that a little bit, and so was a little annoyed by that. Um, and then this one construction worker, he kind of got out of the way a little bit, but had already dealt with somebody do that earlier in the morning. Kind of, all you do is pass by somebody and they step back a little bit, but there's enough room. There's enough room. So again, there's no. I kind of mouthed off a little bit myself. I said I'm cutting you off. Um, I felt like that was somebody who was trying to kind of bring something up. I don't get along with everybody, so that I thought maybe that was somebody who was trying to bring something up. Because I get people like their space, but when you're doing that, and even though there's enough room, it kind of feels like a jab at unearned attention. So yeah, I said that, and then after I left, I overheard somebody. I heard what I heard. I overheard someone buttering asshole. Also, this guy came in and he just could not help but go up to people and to me when had already dealt with that interaction. One old guy almost walked into me, but I think he was trying to avoid this sign, so I'm gonna give him some leeway on that one. Old guy, and just he was with somebody else, so a little annoying, but that might not have been malicious or anything like that. But yeah, this homeless guy then was in there asking people for money. The management saw that and they squared in on this guy. They went beeline on this guy. They were like they were like that. So that's just management is already pretty aware. They're already pretty aware of this. Also, one customer was running around, and then another customer was kind of dancing a bit when she and somebody left. I'm like, calm down a little bit. Calm down a little bit. Some of us are in the middle of our workday or thinking about things that we wish didn't happen. We don't need people who are trying to annoy everyone. We don't need to deal with drunk idiots, at 12 o'clock on a Friday, just like we don't need to deal with them at 5 p.m., 5 hours later. Um, the reason why you don't see any drunks in the wine bar is because they would piss everybody off. They would piss everybody off. They already piss people off at the dive bar, so you take something that's a little bit nicer, and those people are going to piss people off, twofold. You think that people where you can get a really good curation of beers and wine and some liquor, do you seriously think that they want your influence? Doubt it. And then the other day on Thursday, I was on the train, and again, I simply got up to go sit somewhere else because a passenger who got on was he seemed a little he was out of it, and that might not have been anything he was doing, but I still got up just to protect myself and go somewhere else, and then people kept turning and looking and raising their eyebrows, uh, and then one person, as we got to our stop, dropped something, but then somebody dropped something a minute after that person. And then I looked at them after we got off, and they were raising their eyebrows at me and grinning. Um, no, yeah, it's just what the hell is that about? What are you trying to what are you trying to do? What's your what's your whole one person drops something, then another person drops something a second later. Well, and then think you're both smirking about what happened. It's just, yo, can you get it together a little bit? It's not flirting when you're kind of laughing at me for simply just trying to be safe. That's nagging. I'm not going to deal with anybody nagging. I don't care. I don't care what gender, sex you are. Um, no, yeah, me and nagging don't mix. So you're drunk, you're dropping stuff and smirking to people about it. I don't like what you're doing. I don't like what you're doing. Um, I just like folk who, they're feminine and they're humble. They're humble and feminine. I don't like people who are either not masculine or feminine enough, um, uh, and they can't keep their mouth shut. Um, with so much passive aggressive BS, just say it like you mean it. Don't you don't have to communicate in ways that are unnecessary. That may I don't know, but it's gonna annoy me. It's gonna annoy me a little bit. And again, just we don't need drama, especially places that aren't even McDonald's. We don't need drama. Um, that was a little surprising. That was a little surprising. Was going there, and because that had worked in the past. Going to Super Duper Burger. The second to last time went there, everyone was chill. So wonder what that whole barrage was. Um, but no, yeah, I don't really want to talk to you when you're. I don't really want to talk to you when you're dropping stuff and laughing at people. Even if you're a woman, I don't. You're dropping. You're repeatedly dropping things and laughing at people. There's no strong case there. I'm not gonna flirt back with you or flirt with you or talk to you or whatever it is or let you annoy me or whatever it is. I'm gonna ignore you. Um, no, yeah, I don't. I don't respond. Looks like we had some people have or had some people tune in. Maybe a person, maybe a viewer. Um, yeah, just don't make a scene. We've said this how many times? Don't make a scene. Um, the number of times in public have seen someone kind of be excessive, even toward others, is too damn high. It's too damn high. Kind of like alcohol. You're drinking too damn fast. Just chill a bit. Not everything's about you. Stop trying to Stop trying to take charge of the situation. Stop trying to socialize the situation. I'll federalize the situation if I have to. I'll be like President Trump. I'll federalize the situation if I have to. But stop trying to socialize every. This is what I'm kind of seeing. Just unnecessary interactions and taking things very, very personally when somebody just doesn't know you. I'm seeing people repeatedly attempting to socialize the situation. Yo, just stand still and keep quiet. Yo, way too many shifty people. Also, there was another shifty person on Thursday. Was at the market, and this dude was. This was right after the train, and this dude he took too long to pay. I dealt with that. I was like, okay, I'll wait. But then he was awkwardly holding the door for me for 5 minutes. And then he was doing that, but then also, he was sulking and kind of freaking pouting the whole time he was doing that. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not. I was all. I'm not walking through the door yet. I'm not walking through the door yet. These are just things I'm doing, even though I probably don't have to. These are still measures that I'm taking for self-protection. You have a right to self-defense. You have no right to make fun of someone for their self-defense. Self-defense is a common sense strategy, especially, well, um, Marin County often gets pretty crazy, but especially in an urban area, more people. It's a cope, not an insult. Um, I mean, I've heard a lot of you guys saying stuff like, I wasn't talking to you. I agree with you. I agree with you when you say that to someone. When you say, I wasn't talking to you. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I wasn't talking to you. I agree with that. But when it gets to the point where you've seen this happen, people calling you asshole and people calling you names and laughing at you, for simply just, minding your own business. I've seen that happen quite a lot these days, where the angry mob comes down on the one guy who's trying to let everybody have a good time. I'm trying to let everybody have a good time. I'm not telling other customers what to do. I'm not being one of those people being all, you might see me attempting to annoy you. That's a funny joke, but that shouldn't be like especially you're going to go to a wine bar, even a dive bar. That shouldn't be that shouldn't be your MO. I don't like people telling me what to do. I only do that. I only do that when others are kind of, trying to nag me. I might say, well, yeah, well, look at what you might be doing, and there's a sign right there, and there's a sign right there. You're talking to me about something, and there's no sign about it. But as soon as there's a sign over there, are you doing that? Are you doing that? Huh? Huh? I'm just flabbergasted by the amount of hypocrisy I've kind of been seeing in these public places. Uh, Public places have always had an element of false grittiness to them, but now public places have kind of fallen victim to narcissistic behavior. Um, Not everything is narcissistic, but it can become narcissistic. If you're, you know, doing stuff that people didn't ask you to do, and then people um, My reaction toward the construction worker may have been a little bit overboard, but I was still, I think it was kind of a normal, non-aggressive thing to say when it seems like a lot of people are kind of being weird. It's like, you know what? I'm cutting you off. Maybe I subconsciously meant it toward everyone else, but then calling someone an asshole, or saying that the second someone's leaving a store, why are you cafeteriaizing my favorite Super Duper burger? Super Duper burger is not a cafeteria. The bus replacing the ferry is not a playground. It's not a field trip. You quit fucking turning restaurants into cafeterias. Just not. Yeah, I swear, saw that yesterday. Just some people turning the place into a high school, into a high school food court. Buck off. We have folk who are maybe 40, 60 years old there. We have, I don't know, kids there. So we don't need you drunks showing up at our restaurants, at our favorite restaurants, especially at 12 o'clock, and making a fool. And even if they react, still getting argumentative with people, being greedy with people. And we stop cafeteering my favorite restaurants. That's a bit of a nicer restaurant, Super Duper Burger, but I don't want to see I don't want to see anybody showing up there trying to cafeteer our favorite places to go. If you recognize someone, great. That's one thing. You're allowed to say hi. You're allowed to say hello. You're entitled to say hello. But I don't owe you manners when you're going around and being aggro. I don't. You're going around being aggro. You're not entitled to my manners. You drunks need to stop cafeteering my favorite restaurants. I will notice, and so will management. And you need to say things like you mean them. And how you do that is somebody wasn't talking to you. There's no reason to be talking to them. So keep your head down. Yeah. Keep your head down. Stop with like these unnecessary interactions. It's often when there's plenty of room, and that kind of leaves an ambiguity that is uncomfortable. And I'm going to avoid that uncomfortableness. Most people, even if they say something to someone, they may even be a bit assertive about it, but they're not going to be annoying though. No, yeah, just you were a little bit drunk. Just chill. It's 12 o'clock. Have a burger with a Diet Coke. Have a fish sandwich over at McDonald's with a Diet Coke. That stuff is kind of druggy. That stuff is kind of, makes it feel good. What about a Diet Coke? Does it always have to be drugs, drugs? What about sometimes just a burger and a Diet Coke? I still have freaking Diet Coke. I think no, I finished my Diet Coke. Damn. But I had a Diet Coke in the fridge. Not as good as kombucha, but it's one of those fizzy drinks that wakes you up after a night of drinking. I don't need it this morning, but I'm pretty good. Am I right on this? Have you seen this in some public places? People cafeteering, somebody else's restaurant. Asshole. I may have. I was saying, yeah, but you were doing that. You were kind of doing that. You were kind of approaching people unnecessarily. So it's just don't. If you approach me, you're gonna get approached back. If you don't want me to approach you, then just make that clear. and just make that clear. I'm getting, every time I achieved a moderate consumption, I feel much better. I think even my sinuses are thanking me. My sinai are thanking me. And also that whole night, just I wasn't going around telling other people, "Hey, do this," or I wasn't going around being just unnecessary with people and then hurling insults. It seems like some folk, yeah, they act some way, but then 2 seconds later, it seems like they're getting offended by stuff way too easily, way too easily. So, oh man, just don't get it. Just don't get it. No, yeah, some folks they keep trying to seem all like they're not offending anyone, but then next thing you know, they're taking too much offense to something themselves, if not getting kind of offensive. I don't understand, man. Um, I don't understand. So yeah, you're either I think no, either it's just you're a customer. There's no reason to be talking to other people. There's no reason to be talking to other customers. No, there isn't. There may be that wasn't even really a communal table. That was just a bunch of chairs. Why are you asking if you can sit there? Um, why are you doing curtsy with me every single time I walk past you, and then I overhear someone? Yeah, you would have said that even if I didn't say the whole "you're cut off." You would have said that. You would have called me or someone an asshole anyway. Excuse me, over at Super Duper Burger, did you not did you not see? Maybe that wasn't even about that. What if that was about me simply saying to the people attempting to get something from me, may I have some money? The stare. Maybe they were kind of getting on my case about that because you were kind of getting defensive toward me on the train. I was trying to avoid people who seem kind of like the guy over at the market. I'm trying to simply avoid people who seem a little intoxicated. And you're getting accusatory with me about this, about the yeah. But when I was intoxicated, you were getting toward me very accusatory at that point as well. At that point as well. So now when I'm not trying to be the most intoxicated person in public, maybe feeling it a little bit, but not totally an intoxicated person. So now you're going to continue to look for things to be offended about. Stop cafeteering our favorite restaurants. Okay, fuck off. This is a communal space, and you just saw the management say to someone asking everybody for money, "We're going to have to ask you to leave." And they were doing that right after I left a space where a girl was, but the girl was kind of acting a little off, so I kind of left. The reason why I didn't talk to you was because you were drunk or something like that. I'll maybe talk to you. Depends. You're kind of a stranger, but definitely not if you're drunk. No, I'm gonna get up and leave. I don't care if you're a girl. You're drunk. I'm gonna get up and leave. Talking to drunks or dealing with drunks in restaurants or anywhere for that matter. It's kind of like. For you to be trying to approach people crazy like that, what was that like? What was that like? Maybe 5 times in 2 days, and people are dealing with all this stuff. Uh, you Giants fans don't do well with feedback and with reality, and you need to work on that. And you need to stop blaming me every time a loss occurs. because I'm getting annoyed. Yeah, I don't want a situation where if the Giants win, you're super nice to everybody more than usual, but if you're chiller than usual, but if the Giants lose, then well, then you become the bossy, nosy guy. Oh, and then also, I was on the on the date of my mother's passing. I was about to go meet with family, and one of my neighbors, this person has been doing this for the longest time now, twice drove past me slowly when I leave my house. It has the dark blue car with the tinted windows. And he was about to go there, but then he passes by me again. And I think I maybe even dealt with this person, this guy, last week when they have a dog in that building, and that dog, constantly barks one time at people. Like kind of an attention-seeking thing. It's just, I'm not going to deal with drunks like this. No, yeah, and I was getting a little bit, annoyed by that, by the passing by me. That guy was like driving slowly again, and then went that way, and then turned around and passed by me a second time, and I'm trying to go meet with my I'm trying to go meet with my family right now about something very severe that happened in our family. Like, is there something that you fucking want right now? You make an ass of yourself over a super duper burger, 12 o'clock, because you're fucking drunk, and then now you're showing up doing that fucking slow driving thing. There's something you want to fucking say to me? Or do you want to just keep making an ass of yourself? So I've had it up to here with these drunk people, with intoxicated, entitled individuals. I've had it up to here. And especially just the total failure to be consistent about the rules that they beset for everybody else. It's just, fuck you. I'm not going to listen to you on anything you say. I don't take anything you say seriously. I go to socialize, but I also go to mind my own business, but doesn't mean you can't approach. You can definitely say hello to me in a humble way, and you're allowed to do that. It's just no, yeah. Limit your unnecessary interactions. I see them kind of causing more harm than good. Be respectful of your neighbors and your coworkers, especially at lunch spots in downtown San Francisco or anywhere else for that matter. And you do that, you might not even deal with any jitters or anxiety at all. You're dealing with jitters and anxiety because of overdoing it, and probably to the point where you were making kind of pretty much an ass of yourself. So, thanks. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. See you in the next video, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Plans for the next week? Just have the office. Might go out a couple times, but we'll just have 3 drinks, not 4. And for me, 5 just means you're officially drunk. But to me, my limit is before 4. My limit's 3. After 3.5, 4.3 definitely. But I think even after 3.5, I start to get a little bit, judging by the going into the wall again. I'm gonna go get my burger and Diet Coke, and if people are being chill, we'll also be chill. No stresses there. Everything will be all right. So, no, yeah, everyone's just chill. These things, they suck, but some of them, I think, hopefully all these issues are just temporary, and it was just some bullshit that had to deal with in freaking Crazy Fornia. So Thanks, guys. Look forward to hearing your thoughts. See you in the next video, and have a good one. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye. And I hope you can maybe find a way to get all those jitters from 3 beverages.